So I want to start this recap with some bite-sized events that happened throughout the year, and then move into honorable mentions, and then into the main new releases I played this year. News has happened so fast this year though, I bet something is bound to happen within the week of making this video. I might have to update it, I might not, we'll see. Doing the format like this just to make you go, oh wow, that was this year? Because yeah, it's been a long year, so let's get started. First off is a quick collection of games that really caught my eyes this year. Iconoclast was looking like a solid platformer. Subnautica, it was free on the Epic Store. Apparently there's not co-op though, but I did see there was a mod for co-op. Celeste looked really impressive. Night in the Woods looked super impressive as a narrative. Into the Breach from the FTL guys probably makes that one definitely worth looking up. The Street Fighter collection, I have been waiting for the price to drop, although there always is Fightcade. I think with that one you're really paying for training mode, but I digress. Some more solid indie games including Dead Cells and The Messenger, some not indie games including Mega Man 11 and Spyro Reignited, and Super Mario Party, although the online doesn't look like anything's changing with the online, so the biggest wow that was in 2018 thing for me was the PC version of Final Fantasy 15 was this year. Now I gave this game my Game of the Year for 2016 and it's still one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. It is hard to argue that it was as good as I had praised it back then when it came out 2 years ago. But in its current state, I will argue that it is a solid game, but just like any other Final Fantasy game, it's extremely polarizing. I gotta admit, I was very emotional about the future when it was announced that Tabata was leaving Square, and that Luminous Studios was halting development after 2 of the DLC episodes coming up. It's really unfortunate, but I mean, I give Tabata a lot of credit. I liked him, and I want to see what else he can move on to and develop. And also, I want to see what else could potentially be possible with the Luminous engine. You have to understand, regardless of what you think about Final Fantasy 15 and its entire base, they had some DLC content, some added-on content, especially some new boss fights, including the Final Fantasy 14 event, and one boss that was like in a swamp. The 2 boss fights that I'm trying to remember right now are some of the best boss fights that were done in this game, and they really break the mold of what people traditionally think of Final Fantasy 15's combat, which is you hold one button or mash it. So they know how to use this engine, they know how to design boss fights really well, but can they design something that is a full-length game that has a consistent structure to it, that is engaging? We'll see. Until then, yeah, I still love Final Fantasy 15. Then there was the Monster Hunter World PC release. It had some issues at launch. It was a massive pain to connect with people. I remember there was the bug where everyone that was playing the game, its Steam constantly like disconnected and reconnected for them, so it kept telling everyone that has Steam notifications on that their friend was playing Monster Hunter World over and over again. I'm not fond of this new expansion that's coming 2 years after the release and still being later for PC after they spent all that time catching up. But at its bare minimum, Monster Hunter World still has like 50 hours of fun to be had. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. Oof. Speaking of more fighting games, I got a couple to run through. There was Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I have immense buyer's remorse for this one. I just don't have fun with it, but with friends, it's okay. Dissidia NT Final Fantasy not being free to play just yet in the United States. That could change before this video comes out. That could change before the end of next year, well, we'll see. It's really weird how this game died before it even finished its first season pass. It's honestly kind of a shame to watch it, although it was just not getting my interest. The latest version of Under Night, this is an immensely fun fighting game. I really gotta be stingy on what I buy, but Under Night is 100% in my top 5 fighting games. The Secret of Mana Trainwreck, there was a new version of the game and it was not good at all. Followed by the Chrono Trigger Trainwreck on Steam, which, please, can we get this kind of attention to the Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy IX ports of the games on Steam? I will pay to have the backgrounds repainted for Final Fantasy IX. Metal Gear Survive betraying the trust of a lot of people before Snake showed up in Smash. Personally though, still betrayed. The Fist of the North Star game from the Yakuza team, which if you like the Yakuza games and Fist of the North Star, you're probably gonna love this game. Frankly, I'm a little tired of Yakuza games because they've been releasing like 2 a year for the last 2 years, so I played 4 of those games within the last 2 years, so I'm a little exhausted on them right now. I don't want to play another one just yet. This, I can't believe this went under everyone's radar, was, you might not even know about it, DeBlob and DeBlob 2 got remastered on all modern consoles. I haven't seen rumors, let me look this up now. Is there rumors of a DeBlob 3? No, there's not. Kirby Star Allies, which was, it stood out to me because the first impressions of the game were that it was easier than the average Kirby game. And not just that, that's not like too big of a deal, but it wasn't as engaging as the average Kirby game, and honestly the 30 FPS is kind of a turn off for me personally. However, I did catch a glimpse of the DLC, the free DLC that came out for the game, so I think this one's worth giving a try sometime down the line. I want to quickly throw in though that this year I played my favorite Kirby game ever, which is Kirby Planet Robobot. 100% recommend you play that game. The Crash Trilogy dropped on Switch and PC. It runs 60 FPS on PC. It's faster load times, and it also, you know, came out on Switch. And it was at this point that I was done buying games on PlayStation because who knows when they could drop on other consoles. Speaking of which, Okami HD. And then there was Dragon Quest XI. Not getting me this time. No, I'm waiting. I mentioned Spyro Reignited as well. I'm definitely waiting for Spyro to come to PC. I don't think the game's coming to Switch. I don't think they want to optimize it enough to put it on Switch, but I do think that game's probably going to come to PC, so I'm waiting for Spyro to come to PC. Warframe released on Switch, and I'm actually incredibly impressed with the port of it. Panic Button previously did the ports of Wolfenstein and Doom, which I wasn't impressed at all by those ones, but the quality of Warframe is killer. If you want a dumb free shooter that you can just sink some time into, this one's pretty good for it. No Man's Sky left full price early access. Regardless of what we think of the title, they did go back and fix it instead of leaving it in its current state. This is why when I was talking about in my Smash video, it takes time for things to get fixed. In the long term, like Fallout 76 is gonna take another year before that game is remotely functioning. Yakuza 0 released on PC, and it is a fantastic PC port, and there's more Yakuza games coming to PC as well. Son of a bitch, I'm gonna sell all these games now. Like, I'm serious, when we see Yakuza Kiwami 2 or Yakuza 6 in 60 FPS, I'm gonna lose my shit. The Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, I don't think this one got enough attention that it needed, but you can play online cooperative arcade classic Capcom games. This was pretty good, like 20 bucks, that's really good. And while I have your attention on this game, please, anyone that plays this game on Switch, please, please, please turn your frame delay to this setting. Castlevania Requiem, which is a re-release of Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. Now, apparently Sony had a hand in making this one happen. I'm still a little, you know, waiting for it to appear on other consoles. If not though, I mean, I've seen the game go on sale for 10 bucks anyways, and that's an amazing deal for Symphony of the Night alone, and then Rondo of Blood too. Red Dead Redemption 2 released, and I'm not as interested in it, and I'm definitely never doing Rockstar Online again. But you know what, this title still got people talking about crunch, and as long as the conversation's being had, regardless of your lookout on it, I'm glad the conversation was happening. And then there was the outrageous Fallout 76 mess. Oh man. For like a whole, I don't know, maybe a month, there was just something new happening and going wrong every day. And really, since Fallout New Vegas released, I really had a feeling that, you know, Bethesda's practices was one day gonna blow up in their face. And whoo boy, did that happen. And personally, change is just what I want. I don't want the next Elder Scrolls to be on the same engine. I probably won't get it if it's on the same engine. I'm really sick of their shitty engine. And I'm aware of the money and time required to make a new engine from scratch, but they have both, and they I don't know, I don't want to feel like they're being rushed to do anything. They have until the next generation. They could release it mid next generation. They have plenty of time. Like, listen, look at Capcom, who primarily had games that they were releasing on the NT framework, but before they branched over to the new RE engine, they had some new games that were in Unreal 4. Now, to my understanding, they actually are still using the NT framework. Apparently, Monster Hunter World was still in it. But man, look at the payoff for the quality and optimization of Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and for DMC5. I actually have to edit this one in, the stealth drop of Deltarune. I can't believe I forgot Deltarune, but it was like, you know, played in less than a few hours. Honestly, to me, it felt like the combat of Deltarune was just a straight upgrade of Undertale's. You know, a proper evolution of it. It was a reminder Undertale isn't just a meme. Toby Fox is a genius in character design, game design, music, pacing, writing. If nothing ever comes of Deltarune, it'd be a shame, but whatever Toby Fox decides to do will probably be on par with Undertale and Deltarune. Alright, now let's break into the main titles that I've been playing this year. I'll run through them quickly, and if I have videos about them, catch them in the top right. First off, Pokemon Let's Go. It's another basic Gen 1 remake dumbed down. It has okay motion controls, the cutscenes were great, and it has interesting changes to wild Pokemon. However, the narrative is not nearly as in-depth as past Pokemon games. You know, Team Rocket is fine, but no one is committing any terroristic actions like bombing the Safari Zone. Holy shit, why does no one care that that happened? The SNK 40th Anniversary Collection, which, you know, since my review, way more games have been added to it, although I do typically feel that this collection of games is before my time and unfortunately before my interest. However, there were a few standout ones for me personally, so check out my review of it. Octopath Traveler, best RPG of the year. Fascinating narrative structure. I thought the turn-based combat was pretty engaging, though it's no Persona 5 obviously. Some of the stories I felt did have disappointing endings, but it was about the journey and not the destination. Albeit the step from the final stories into the final super boss of the game, holy shit dude, I can't beat it. And when it was first announced, I kind of wrote off the art style, but after playing it, I think the music and art style were super engaging. I didn't write it down, but I want to talk about why I got Octopath Traveler, because I really didn't have high expectations going into it. It is because one night, Target had a flub with one of their online sales where you could stack several % off coupons together. And there were people getting like Switches for way less than $100. You could get a Switch and several games and whatever for like around $100 to $200, and then people were getting HD TVs. Oh man, it was a crazy thing. You should look it up. And anyways, personally, I got Octopath Traveler for like I just looked it up. Yeah, $22 for Octopath on its release week because of this Target sale. The crazy thing was that they honored it. I also tried to pick up Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2. That was gonna be for $15, but it had to be ordered and they canceled it. I had to drive out 40 minutes though, man, to the closest Target just to pick up that game, and it was worth it, 100%. Soul Calibur 6. It has the most single-player content in a fighting game in a very long time, where fighting games get criticized for not having any single-player content. Although, you know, I don't think the single-player content was too engaging. Gameplay-wise, I think it's the best since 2. I think a lot of people agree with me on that. It's fun, the online does have a few quirks, and it's generally a really pretty game. I think 2B looks better in Soul Calibur 6 than she does in her own game. Creative Soul is a little lacking, which is unfortunate, but it hasn't really stopped anyone from being too creative. To keep going with another fighting game, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. And this, I would say, is personally tied with Tekken for my favorite fighting game. It is chaotic as hell. The soundtrack is absolutely stellar when you've got the BlazBlue music and Persona music thrown in together. And then there's Under Night music. Oh man, Under Night has some amazing music. Although I'm not too keen on how they've handled DLC, and it's been a while since we've seen what this teased 5th series will be. I'm just not big on when these kinds of games need post-launch support and they're essentially radio silence on it. We just don't know what's going on, so we'll have to wait and see. And training mode is also fun. Listen, this has been the one fighting game that has actually opened my eyes to how much fun just being in training mode and learning a game can be, and has also showed me that your hours that you put into training mode do pay off. It's also got a dumb as hell story, and I absolutely love it. I think I said that was the last fighting game, and that was a total lie. Next up is Mario Tennis Aces, and what makes it a fighting game is it has meter and it has supers, and even EX and ways to spend your gauge. It's actually really nice. Although it's not, I tried to balance it, but, you know, I actually do prefer to just play simple. Outside of the core gameplay, when this game launched, it was kind of a mess. It was lacking in a lot of things, but ever since it released, Nintendo has had constant updates Camelot rather, has had constant updates and really spruced things up and fixed the online. Like before at launch, I think one of the most disappointing things was there was no ranked doubles play, and through actually a recent patch they added ranked doubles. So, and what I mean by that is not on the same console, but me and one other person that is far away can team up together online, invite 2 other people online. Couldn't do that at launch, now you can. This really also opens the door for games that Nintendo publishes getting constant updates and getting their online fixed I hate the story mode though. This story mode is extremely dumb. You're getting this one for the online, so consider how much that's worth. The X Legacy Collection, which yeah, has some input issues with the first 3 games. I actually learned how to speedrun most of X2, so I definitely do feel the input latency in those first 3 games. However, for me personally, getting to play X4 on a Switch whenever I want was probably worth the purchase. I love X4, although X1 through 3 are pretty great, and I only got the first collection. I did not get 2, because I think the only game that I would ever play on the second collection would be X8, but, you know, I totally recommend the first part of the collection. There was Frostpunk, which I wasn't too big on at first, and I prefer endless modes in these kinds of games. But an update it did eventually come that put in endless mode, and it was actually quite a bit more to it in setting it up than I thought they would do, and so it was really nice that they added this. If you like building games, it actually has a good narrative and theming and pressure to it, and that even might be like a cozy experience to some people, but I like endless modes in these kinds of games. Ni no Kuni 2 came out, and I didn't like it. The combat was really meh, and the story I actually felt was lacking. I really bought the game based on its art style, but, you know, right after 2 hours, the game crawled to a halt and I stopped having fun. I won't say a lot about it, but the kingdom building mechanic I thought would be really engaging, and it was not at all. Yakuza Kiwami 2, and most regard this as the best Yakuza game, and I can see why. There's a demo of it up on PSN, and what I wanted was like a simple Kiryu versus a bad guy game, but of course it's Yakuza. It's gonna be way further deeper than that. You know, it's a Japanese crime drama. And I gotta say, it probably is my favorite Yakuza game. Still have Haruka, which I think is a plus, and I think this one has the best combat in the series, because it takes 6's combat and refines it. It speeds it up a bit too. And the game is beautiful as hell. It's so gorgeous. And then yeah, Yakuza 6, the final Yakuza game. Please play this one after finishing the others. If you've held off this long, keep holding off. It's a gorgeous as hell game. Combat is different. I feel the fact that there were disadvantages and they had to pad the player with handout experience points was kind of a sign that things weren't, you know, really balanced right. See, this is what I like about Yakuza Kiwami versus Yakuza 0's combat, which are essentially the same system, but they are balanced differently, and the balance and speed of Yakuza Kiwami I think is better than Yakuza 0's balance. I don't know, maybe I'll make a whole video about it sometime. Spider-Man, which is solidified as my favorite superhero, and this is probably the best superhero video game. The controls were stellar, the upgrading was kinda lackluster, 100%ing the open world kind of overstayed its welcome a bit, but this is a fantastic telling of Peter's story and Miles' story. I think this is one of the best telling of Peter's story and of Miles' story. No other video game or even movie has drove home how significant Uncle Ben was to Peter, and the game didn't even have the scene of Uncle Ben in it. I don't want to spend too much time like talking about it, but I will just say that I believe it is Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and this is my favorite superhero video game because I so personally relate with the story of Peter and Miles. And then for the biggest release for me personally of this year, and because it's going to be so significant of a release of a game for quite a couple years, maybe several, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I have never been more hyped for a game releasing in a very long time, since Brawl. I had never been so excited for a game to release as I was for Ultimate, and I am still in the honeymoon phase, but I definitely prefer World of Light over Subspace Emissary. This game has really substantial single-player content, and the CPU in this game's hard as fuck, dude. World of Light is like, for me, it was 25 to 30 hours. I would put it in that range. Now, the problem with it is the first half of it overstays its welcome, but the second half, it makes everything worth it, and it really takes off at the second half. The problem is getting there, and I understand if some people just fall out of it before that. It's a gorgeous game, the only Smash game to have like real lighting, and many of the characters have the best versions of them in this game. You know, Cloud is objectively nerfed in this game, but I still have an immense amount of fun with him. And you can hear me talk about it here, but basically I think the online is kind of mediocre, on the mediocre side, and needs to be fixed. And it may not be fixed before this video is out, but, you know, we'll check back in a year and see how the online is then. And yeah, personally, because I'm ending the video on it, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate It's gotta be my game of the year. I don't think Smash in general gets enough credit as like how much it means to me. Like when I think about my favorite video games of all time, I think Final Fantasy IX, Wind Waker, Earthbound, Symphony of the Night, Portal 2. I never thought of Smash, despite how significant the influence of Smash has been. So it's an insane amount of fun, but it doesn't get the game of the year credit because of, I guess because of the kind of game it is. So I want to give it that credit now. Smash Brothers Ultimate, game of the year for me. Whether it's playing 1v1, free-for-all, online, offline, it's all incredibly fun to just play this game. Now, alright, let's talk myself and my channel going into the new year real quick. I've got videos I want to make. I want to make like, you know, general series videos, my thoughts on Mega Man, my thoughts on Mario, because I have a lot of opinions and stuff about ranking those games. For example, how highly I think of 3D World. Some people don't think highly of it, I do. And I think within maybe the first month of 2019, I think there is a very important video that I need to properly follow up on. So tune in for that. Otherwise, hey, we're at the end of the video. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me for 2018. This is a big year for the channel, actually, and things are only going to go up from here. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the new year. Till next time.